Welcome to another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. Well, hey guys, welcome to yet another episode of the Carry Trainer Higher Line podcast. I've got a guy that's been on before, and we were thinking last night, Bennett and I, after supper with Tom, about the title, and I'm going to give it to you in a minute, but this is the guy behind these things. So we'll talk about gun safes today, the myth and the lies of the gun safe industry, and a bunch of other cool stuff, like maybe a land speed record, which you just said a land speed record as well.
Yep, that was a
Mr. Tom Kubiniec, by the way, of SecureIt. Welcome back.
It's good to be back. I haven't been up here in it's been a while.
Well, we just talked about it. It was 6 years ago.
Well, I did the S12 event.
But the last time that that was in Nashville.
Yeah.
The last time that you were on the podcast. So,
but I'll tell you, I'm gonna throw it out there because it's a testament to what you're doing. We were one of the sponsors of the S12 event, so I went there and I participated as a part. I didn't come in as a sponsor and sit back and watch. I said, I'm gonna do this. And at that point I was 60 years old. And I'm just during all this stuff, I'm going like, you know what? I'm not the guy I used to be. I don't have the physical capabilities I used to have. And I ended that event. I got home and just drew a line and made a major change in my life. I dropped 23 pounds.
That's awesome.
And I went pure carnivore diet and dropped the weight. I had to have shoulder surgery. I blew my shoulder, got that fixed, and got into aggressive working out. And it's just been. I'm not sure if that was how important that was, but
that's part of the thing that we take away from that. Like we want to be capable, but until you test yourself a little bit, you don't know. And like you said, you always were, and then you didn't do some hard things for a while.
I worked out hard when I was younger, and it's so you get kids and the things going on, and all of a sudden, I didn't realize how far. Again, I've always been in solid shape. I've never been like a slob or anything.
Sure.
But I just didn't realize I'm not who I want to be. That's probably the biggest question. And
keep going.
So I had some physical issues. I've been dealing with inflammation, arthritis right now, and my hands is really bad.
We're gonna get a guitar in here before we're done.
I don't know if I can play. I can try.
We're gonna try it.
Is it gonna buzz?
No, I got another guitar.
All right.
Good memory.
So, that's funny.
Adjust my neck for me.
There you go. I can do it. Yeah, we'll take some time. We'll do that on the podcast.
Let's go to this. So how did you, so even though we've had this discussion before, so full disclosure, when we moved to the podcast studio, I called Tom and I said, hey, how about we get some of these things in the podcast room to house some of our work equipment and make them the backdrop? And he said, I think it's a great idea. And then, truth be told, this is the first podcast with a guest that we've recorded in here. I waited to do that.
Oh, that's cool.
So that we could kind of, show off this space to the world with the guy and this is just one of your products.
Yeah, this is our core. This is the Model 84 weapon rack, which was part of what we called the Secure Tactical Integrated Weapon Storage Platform.
You keep talking and I'm going to crack this one open just so people see what's up.
So the Model 84, I got into weapon storage in 2002 based on a phone call from the FBI. I was selling laptop security cabinets to hospitals. And I started looking at weapon racks, and I was not a military guy. There you go. And I was a reseller of weapon storage into the military, just learning the space. And then in 2007, we won a contract to spend 18 months with U.S. Army Special Forces. I surveyed all their armories, spent a day with each armor, traveled all over the country.
What's your pain? What's your problem?
Their armories were failing, and they didn't know why. So they just wanted to hire a company to basically tell them what's wrong. And we completely bullshitted our way into that contract. We were a 3-person company. I was up against Harris, L3, a couple of other these big players, and
it's fun that you can say that because there was a time that I'm sure you wouldn't have said that on camera.
No, but looking back, and here's what happened. So we go to Fort Bragg. We got a meeting with the colonel who's going to run this contract. And Gary Myrick, who's my sales guy, he was a firecracker sales guy, and he looked like an operator. He'd never been in the military. He was ripped, he was bald, he looked the part. And we get this meeting at Bragg's. I go to the Bragg's, probably my first time on a military base. And we're going to the Bills, brand new construction. And it's 3rd Special Forces Group. We're walking the main door. If you've ever been in those places, the heritage, like the photographs, all the memorabilia, the vintage firearms and glass cases. And I'm just walking through this, kind of just trying to take it all in. And as I get to his office, it hits me out of the blue, a strategy. I walked into his office. I walked up to him and I said, "Good morning, Colonel. My name is Tom Kubiniec with SecureIt. I'm considered the leading authority in small arms storage armory design. I really think we're the company to do this for you." And we sat talking. Meeting was about 15 minutes, which is, getting a colonel for 15 minutes is not easy. It was a good meeting. We got back out the parking lot and Gary's like, "What the F-bomb was that?" I start laughing. I go, "What?" And he goes, "Leading authority." And I start laughing. And I was like, "Gary, that came to me in the hallway. Nobody knows how to do this. It's never been done before." No, I mean, the whole weapon storage system has just been pipe frame racks and just stuff people scrap together. The military was transitioning from the M16 to the M4. They were going from just a simple battle rifle with iron sights to a weapon system with different optics and attachments and grenade, all the stuff that went with it. I said, "Gary, we walked in there and said we're the experts, and nobody can say we're not."
Yeah,
We claimed it.
No, you're not.
Right. Who's going to say I'm not? So we won the contract, and for 18 months, I traveled all over the country to every Special Forces armory. I spent a day in each armory, measures, photographs. I interviewed the armor, and more importantly, we just watched the workflow, documenting what we were seeing, what was happening. Over that 18 months, I became the leading authority in small arms storage and armory design, and I was the guy. And we designed this system. Right towards the end of that contract, I realized the problem with storage, and it applies in the consumer a little bit, is complexity. Complexity was killing the military. Their older systems, company came up with this idea of a modular rack with a different bracket for every gun. From an M4 up to 50 cals to sniper rifles.
You have to have cases of all of these different brackets.
They would design the armory, install all the correct brackets, and boom, done. Then their guns change. Every 3, 4, 5, 6 months, they'll field different equipment. Well, the military just can't go buy new brackets. You got to go through contracting, so they end up using the wrong equipment. And over the course of 3 or 4 years, these racks turn into a bird's nest. It's just a mess.
Just a mess of stuff.
Right. So we came up with, and I went to my shop and I was working with wood, carving, scraping, grinding, trying to come up with something. And we came up with our upper cradle that holds an M4 up to shoulder launch systems.
I'll grab one. Keep talking.
Yeah. So it was one simple moving injection molded piece that would hold every weapon in an armory, and it's adjustable without tools. So an armor can walk up to my rack with a gun in one hand, doesn't matter what the gun is, open the rack, adjust the cradle with his free hand, and place the gun in, and it's stored properly. And it completely eliminated the lack of flexibility within the systems they were using. You got one, yeah, there you go. So this has the snap grip on it. So the upper cradle, I'll show it upside down. The profile's cut, so you've got barrel, and then you've got the wider width gets you on the foregrip of the rail, but it also grabs 50 cal Mark 19 barrels, the larger barrels, and then we put the little square notches in it, and this is for the Navy SEALs, so it would. The last piece of the puzzle is, it'll do the rail, it'll do the last piece. Now I've got the snap grip on. The snap grip allows the gun to literally snap into the rack so it can't fall out. I'll talk to that in a second. But the little square cuts were for the mag rail, a mag well. So it'd stand the gun up real vertical, but you're buying all this real estate behind the guns. In the SEAL team armories, they had so much equipment that we were using just simple plastic bins behind the guns for them to store all the equipment that they're not using. Now the Marine Corps, this was just before COVID, put out a solicitation to rebuild Okinawa. And we won the contract. It was an $8 million contract. And they loved our stuff. But I'm working with a Master Gunnery Sergeant Sago. And one of the toughest guys I've ever worked with. He worked for me for after he retired. He came on board, worked for me for about a year. But he said, Tom, I want the guns to snap into the racks. He goes, he told us, again, we're one of the bidders. There's like 5 companies bidding on this. He goes, I want the guns to snap into the racks. Because I want it to snap in. I want them to fall. Too many times they pull out a gun and a sling will catch another one. They're hitting. And everybody else panicked because the bid's due in like a week. And all of a sudden, the gun's got to snap into the rack. So I sent 2 teams out. We call this Home Depot development. 2 teams of 3. I said, you guys go to Lowe's, go to Home Depot. Buy everything. Go into the garage department. Anything that holds a broom against the wall. A broom is like a rifle barrel. Just give me things that will hold in a garage. And they brought all these things back to the office, metal, all these goofy things. And it was a little plastic 3M bracket that would roll and hold a broom. So I said, that's kind of cool. So I took our current cradle, I cut it off, I glued this thing on with Bondo, from car work, and just slapped it together, spray painted it black, stuck it on there, and just made a video of a gun going into the rack. Sent it to Russ. He punched this out into the Marine Corps. The little video went viral through the Marine Corps. And they're like, what is that? What is it? And we won the contract. And I said, all right, guys, now we've got to actually make one that works. So it was complete. I mean, it was a working prototype, but it was 3M's patented piece.
You couldn't just take it.
So we went and just did a wire form. We had the cleats on top of the cradle, which would use bungee cords.
Let me see it real quick.
And the bungee cords were designed for California seismic control. So we went with a wire form and rollers, and the barrels rolled over it, and the Marine Corps absolutely loved this thing. This thing now is standard in all military armories, because if you spend time in armories, one of the common things you're going to see is armorers or their assistants with 3 stitches in their forehead from sight posts. No, because you pull a gun down, if they got slings on the guns, the sling easily catches
on something,
right. And it's
ends up braining you.
And they're trying to move quickly, and moving quickly with firearms is not usually a smart thing to do. You can move quickly if you practice a lot. Slow, was it slow is smooth, smooth is fast? Is that the military term? So it solves a lot of problems in the consumer world. Probably half our systems use rollers. It's not required for most applications. It's not, your guns aren't going to move, but however, that when they snap in, it feels good.
I like it because, people all the time, guys that are coming to work or people want to oogle and touch things.
Yeah.
As you just said, somebody's all of a sudden knocking something on the ground or braining themselves or breaking stuff. So I like it. I think what's most important to me about that story is not this. It's the belief that, okay, I'm going to tell you I can do this thing. Yeah. I mean, it's not like you said you were going to create Starlink, or something. Yeah, I'm going to make a good storage solution that you can, but a lot of people would be scared to.
Well, I had nothing to lose. If I'm wrong, okay, I don't get a contract. Even at my early days in the military, we had nothing to lose. We're a 3-person company within Greenline Data, which is my company that sold laptop storage cabinets, tape racks, and computer-related stuff. And the company's doing well, successful company. So I had nothing to lose, except maybe my reputation in the military, but I wasn't established in that space. Now, the other thing that, whenever I design, I do all the product development work, is what else? So we design, it's all done. Okay, what else can we do? What else? How do we make this so it's can't be obsolete? How do you make this thing flexible but keep it simple? So all the little holes on top, we've actually never used them, but we incorporate them into the tooling because those take a 10 by 18 of little screws, little machine screws. I think it's a 10 by 18 machine screws. So I can fabricate any kind of a steel. If I got to make a really special adapter, I can make a plate, punch the holes in it, just take a little Dremel or whatever, and just screw. It gives us the ability to attach things to these. I don't think.
So if some new special item was
if there was some really funky thing, they needed a hook, they needed something weird, this gives you adjustability within the racking system. But because our goal is to give them, for the military, to give them something that's easy to use, requires no training, and will not become obsolete.
I dig it. Let's talk a little bit about construction. Most people, and for those of you, if you didn't watch our previous conversation from years back, probably some things have changed, so it'll be good to revisit. Most people, when they think of a gun safe, and I know you'll comment on that, they think of going to a big box store and seeing the really nice automotive paint, shiny finish, and the soft, cushy inside, which we've all owned one of those, or you see them at your buddy's house and you're like, oh, that's so badass. Like, what's wrong with that?
Well, the core
And
issue,
how many safe companies have a bounty on your head, you think? I'm just kidding. You don't have to answer that.
they don't, well, there's a few that don't like me. There's only one that doesn't like me because I went after them because they came after us. Liberty. Liberty came after us in a very, very underhanded way that undermines our whole industry. And I'll talk about it because it's been made public. Liberty was purchased by Monomoy Capital Partners. They're a private equity firm.
Say the name of the...
Monomoy Capital Partners out of San Francisco.
This is interesting stuff here, people.
Now, when I went into retail products in 2014, 15, I went to Liberty. I was working with one of their product development guys who called me, and they were fascinated with what we were doing. My first thought was license Cradle Grid to Liberty. That was my play.
License this
to Liberty, and now I can stay in the military space that I know, and let Liberty run with the consumer side. So I flew out and met with their whole senior staff, and after meeting with the senior staff, I backed away from the deal. It wasn't going to happen. We had a Fat Boy Jr. in the office that we had built.
And tell people what a Fat Boy Jr. is.
That was their number one selling safe at the time. It's a 36 or a 40 gun safe.
Is how they advertise it.
Our system in there held 12 rifles perfectly. And their head of sales, who's I think now the president of the company, he's like, Tom, that's a 40 gun safe and you're holding 12 guns. I'm like, with all due respect, you will never fit 40 guns in that safe. I don't care if you gut the safe and just pack them in, you'll never fit them. And his response was, well, that's our industry's little white lie. You know, our competitor says 36, we say 40. And it was right then that I said, wow, I'm not going to do this. I'm backed away from the
Just concept. A quick point here. I think just so we're all on the same page, what he's saying, if you didn't catch it, is that these manufacturers of these metal boxes with the shiny paint advertise them to hold 24, 36, 40, 60, whatever guns, and they show a pretty picture that's oftentimes not even real. It's just digital.
The web shit,
it's all digital, created. And I've got one, I don't remember who made it, and it's a fine metal cabinet, but you cannot fit because everything's just, cattywampus in there. And I made some things that I could hang some pistols in a few spots, but it's not really built for that. And you're saying that they, I guess, falsely advertise.
They do. I mean, they dramatic. What they're doing is they're creating those brackets with all the little W's and rows. If they can fit 40 little W's, it's a 40 gun safe. But you go back to 1960s when these safes were designed. It was the mid-late 60s, and it was the late 70s through the 80s to about 1990 where the industry really took off. They've never changed that design, and in the 60s, 70s, most people had iron sights. Most people had very simple bolt gun, a lever gun, but even those guns, you can't get close. We have a 40 gun safe. If we do no optics, we're about 20 rifles, 21 rifles.
And you don't want to,
with optics,
you don't want to break your stuff, scratching it up. So real quick, we've used the word safe. Are these items all technically safes?
I don't know. It depends on your definition of the word safe. UL, Underwriters Laboratory, classifies them as RSC, Residential Security Container. They won't use the word safe. Now, I think that's a nuance. I don't think it matters because, and I'll talk about how safes are breached because it doesn't matter how thick your safe is. That's not how you're doing security. To finish the Monomoy story, I just want to get that.
Oh yeah, please.
They purchased Liberty.
This is like a big.
It's a venture,
international conglomerate.
No, it's a California-based private equity firm. And they buy, $70 to $100 million companies, try to get them to $500 million, and they sell them. And there's same type of companies that buy $30 million companies and get them to 100. That's how private equity works. They bought Liberty probably 7 years ago. Actually, they bought us right after COVID.
Okay. And
the problem I had, now that's when Liberty gave it was after COVID, gave the FBI an access code to a safe.
Remind everybody of that story.
So a gentleman was arrested by the FBI and he had a Liberty safe and they wanted to open it. and they contacted they contacted Liberty, the FBI or the Justice Department, and Liberty has backup codes to all their safes, and gave them the backup code to open the safe
Without a warrant.
Yeah, without a warrant.
That was what was so specific about.
Well, Liberty's position was, look, they're going to get a warrant, and they probably could have. So that blew up on the internet. That was a big deal. I think the internet made a big deal out of the wrong thing. They were going to get a warrant, and they were going to get that safe open.
That was just kind of a sad story.
The bigger problem I have is and it's not just Liberty. I did my research. Every gun manufacturer keeps a master code to every lock they sell. So every gun manufacturer, when you register the warranty on your safe, you're providing your address. They know the model of your safe, all this information about you.
You said gun manufacturer, gun safe.
Gun safe. Yeah, gun safe manufacturer. You have to provide this information for the warranty. Most people do.
Okay.
So Liberty all these gun safe companies have a database within their computer system of you, your address, and a master code for your safe. What happens if there's a data breach?
Sure.
That's my fear, is somebody hacks into one of these companies and they download 10,000 names, addresses, and access codes. Now you simply take that. Again, if you don't want to travel around robbing people, just publish it. You got 10,000 safes that are no longer safe.
Sure.
Everybody can open these, and they know where they are, and that's the bigger problem that I have. Now with SecureIt, we use in our consumer products.
Hold on, go back to that story. What was the other thing about that?
Oh, Monomoy was so I did my research on. So Monomoy came after us. That was we started this, and what Monomoy came into Liberty, and they brought in their own people. So the director
They went after you from a business standpoint.
Well, no, it's kind of crazy. It's silly, but it hurt us. Not our core, but so they brought in their own people, and their director of marketing came out of the fragrance industry.
Okay.
Nothing to do with firearms. And he was a guy that came out of selling, perfume, and he was their director of marketing. So they're doing, advertising on Facebook. We spent a lot. We advertise on Facebook, on Instagram, all these platforms. And what happened is every time we would post anything on Facebook, he would go in the Liberty account and flag it as offensive. His personal account, flag it as offensive. His wife's account, flag it as offensive. And a couple of employees, and flag our post as offensive. Every single post. Facebook flat out banned us from Facebook, or banned us from posting. We do.
How do you know that he did that?
So we're shut down on Facebook. What the heck's going on? So I had my head of marketing, Josh, starts digging into this, prying into it, and it's really hard to get into Facebook.
Yeah,
talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Well, so Facebook was a major source of our brand awareness, and it's gone. So he's digging. Finally, he starts getting in, talking to people, and he got a guy who works in Facebook, who's an avid shooter and a 2A supporter.
Knows some stuff.
Yeah, and I'm not going to share much anything else about the guy, because what he did the research, and he came back to us and said, okay, this is what happened. This guy, because they got all the data. Right. This guy flagged you, his wife flagged you, and it looks like that's what happened. He battled for us within Facebook. It still took a lot, and we got that removed, because even if they reinstate you, if you've got those negatives that you were banned, any hiccup, because again, in firearms with Facebook, you got to be really careful, and he got that basically removed. But we found that out. So, and this is my opinion, though.
Playing a little dirty baseball.
Well, I don't mind. I'll compete with Liberty. I'll compete with other gun safe companies. And we all, the beauty of the firearms industry is we all compete with each other, but we all respect the firearm, and we respect the Second Amendment and freedom and everything that it means. What they did undermines the whole gun industry, because they basically are driving Facebook to ban more gun posts, because they're saying, oh, gun posts are offensive. And all that does is hurt all of us. But he did that because he's not in the 2A industry. So I started doing research on Monomoy, because I was just mad. I was just like, what?
Who are these people?
Yeah, so I did my research on Monomoy, and this is all public record. If you go to Google and you just search for political donations tracking, and it's a government website that tracks all political donations. And I don't remember the name, but you can search for Monomoy.
How do you spell Monomoy?
It's MONO. It's all MONO. It's a pretty simple. If you Google them, they come up. There's been a lot talking about this. Tucker Carlson did a segment on this.
Okay.
Monomoy Capital Partners and their employees donated, I think it's between $680 and like $720,000 to far left political groups and politicians, all of which are anti-2A. So it's a very liberal company. So the profits from Liberty Safe a portion are being donated to anti-2A. And to me, I would actually defend their right to donate to who they want.
Sure.
I got no problem with that. I disagree with them, but I believe we all have a right to support who we want and do what we want to do. Why does a company that clearly hates firearms buy America's largest gun safe manufacturer? That's I'm like, these guys really stepped in it. Now, they bought Liberty at the end of COVID when our industry just blew up.
Mm-hmm.
Liberty did like 140 million that year. And just out of COVID, it dropped back down to 100. And then the problem with the feds and giving that code out, Liberty dropped down to, I don't know for sure, somewhere probably 50 to 60 million a year in business. So they bought it at the absolute peak, and it's less than half of what it was. And I think they're probably in like a panic mode with this one. I mean, they own probably 75 companies, but this one is definitely a dog for them. And it's my hope that they would sell it and get out of this industry because they don't belong here. And I've talked to people about putting together a group. So what if we bought Liberty and turned it back into America's gun safe company? I mean, I would change how they make safes. We can talk about. I don't like what the safe industry does because they're selling the idea of security.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
But they're marketing when you look at the advertisements, not just Liberty, most of them are advertising, but Liberty's the worst because they have the most money to advertise. You'll see a full page ad. It's a beautiful room, pool table, river rock fireplace.
Sure.
It's a beautiful
all burgundy, the things we like.
Yeah, burgundy safe with the scrolling across it and all. It's just Wild Wild West look. Two guys are playing pool. Out the windows are the Rocky Mountains, and it's
snow slowly falling.
Right. It's the dream lodge.
A couple of hot blondes mixing drinks.
Right, and
Can we go
and the
there?
text on that is pride of ownership, heritage, heirloom, and they're basically telling you, invest in this beautiful safe, show it to your friends, take pride, like show them that you're like that guy.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at this, and my background is not in gun safes, it's in military security and safety.
Yeah, number one authority.
So I've looked at this going, okay, first off, number one, nobody should ever know you own firearms. I mean, strange. I'm entertaining at my house. People are coming over. Some of them I know, some I don't know that well. They should not know that I have a gun safe. Why would you put a gun safe in your main entertainment room and let every single person know that you've got a safe? Because the only thing that safe has, some valuables, and it's probably full of guns. So, all of our consumer products are thinner. They're one row of guns. I'll get to that in a second. So they're all designed to go into discrete locations. You come into my house, I have a collection. I've got a lot at my office warehouse. We've got an armory at the office, but I've got probably at any given time 25 rifles in my home. You'd never know that I own a firearm. You could walk all over my home unless you're really digging in, yet I'm never more than probably 3-second access is my worst. All my safes are fast access and they're all located, and I'll get that in a second, but it's this idea that they're marketing this shiny showpiece for your home. And I'm like, guys, that violates the number one principle of security. The number one thing you can do for security is secrecy with firearms. Yeah. Nobody should know you own firearms. And then the other piece of it is when we talk about security with gun safes, the whole industry, and I'm not trying to bash the industry, I'm trying to change it. But awareness is the first step. So the whole industry, when you go to buy a safe, you got level 1 security, level 2 security. They have different names for it, but level 1 safe is going to be your basic gun safe with bolts around the door. You turn the handle and the bolts all come out.
Sure.
Level 2 security is going to have corner bolts and a drill plate or some combination of like that. Level 3 security is going to be a steel plate. The whole door is a plate door with the corner bolts, and you're adding all these layers of security. When you look at actual crime data, thieves don't pry doors open. There's a lot of videos showing, look, you can't pry, we're comparing our safe to their safe prying the door. When you look at actual crime data, safes are cut open. They go to the side of the safe, a circular saw, a carbide blade. They sell a blade, it's for the concrete industry for cutting rebar when they're doing concrete work, because you can't bring a torch, dealing with cutting metal on a job site, you don't want to use heat, and grinding wheels are way too slow. So these steel blades, looks like a saw blade, but it's carbide. It cuts 1/2-inch drywall or rebar like nothing. I can take and cut a big hole in the side of a safe. When we've timed it, we got a video I shot, it was 18 seconds to cut the hole and remove 2 rifles. And it doesn't matter how thick the metal is.
And once you get through that, most of those is just a piece of 5/8 drywall.
Yeah, it's a drywall. And the saw usually, if you jack the saw up so the blade's coming out, you're cutting through everything. And it just falls in. But their whole concept of security is based on this concept of the door. Yet the reality is, any thief who knows what he's doing simply ignores the door. Are there a lot of safes breached? No. There's not a lot of break-ins in America. America, for the most part, is pretty secure. I mean, it's pretty safe. We live in a very safe country. But I still look at it now. You got a big gun safe. Where's it going to go? If it's a really big gun safe, it's probably going to go in a basement. You're not going to put it in a,
If you live in a place where there's basements, right? Down south, there's no basements.
That's true. But in the industry, and we've worked with a lot of safe distributors and dealers and stores over the years, when you walk in to buy a safe, and I hear this all the time, buy the biggest safe you can afford, because you're going to grow into it. If you got 6 guns, no, you want to buy a 40-gun safe, you can afford it because you're going to grow into it. We think that's nuts. Buy what you need. And if you get more guns, buy another one. Our methodology is, we bring this from the military, smaller modular safes. If you want a big safe, like my Agile line, that's our core product, is a 6-gun little safe. And they all bolt together. And we've got right and left doors, so they open up. It's very simple, ergonomics works. All guns are stored in one row. In a traditional safe, they make them deep. And the reason they make safes deep and the reason they fill them with a lot of drywall is tip hazard.
Mm-hmm.
They call it fire rating, but it's actually the original. I learned a lot from the plant manager at Liberty. He's not a corporate polish guy. He gave me a tour, and I just asked questions friendly, and he spilled his candy in the lobby about the safe industry. So all this stuff they do is, when you open the door, the weight of the door won't tip the safe over. The interior of the safe is designed to look good empty. Because at Bass Pro, when you go into a store to look at safes, they're all empty.
Mm-hmm.
We had our Agile safes in Bass Pro. We had them at the Safe House, is a huge safe seller in Nashville. Really nice. I mean, it's a cool place. We had our safes there, and we weren't getting sell-through. I went there as a customer and just spent 4 hours in the store watching shoppers. And what was happening, they'd look at all these safes, they'd get to my Agile, which was smaller, they'd open the door, and my safe empty. They didn't know what it was. It made no sense. So I realized we can't compete. We ended up pulling out of Bass Pro. We pulled out of all of our stores and went direct to consumer, which my background in computer was always direct to consumer. And now we can show the safes via photography, videography. This is what they do. Mm-hmm. And our sales just took off. But this notion that buy the biggest safe you can afford is wrong. You buy what you need.
How about fire safety?
Yeah. There's 2 sides to it. Do you need a fire rating? Everybody says you want to get a good fire rating. I'm like, why? And I said, why? Well, you have a fire. I said, okay, let's walk through this. If you have a fire in your house, 88 or 86%, it's changing now. Every year it's getting higher. 86% of all fires in homes are in the kitchen. The fire occurs in a pot or in the oven. This is all driven by insurance data. The damage is smoke damage. Mm-hmm. The actual risk of open flame heat source damage in a room in your home is unbelievably rare. Yeah. When it does occur, the vast majority, the fire is out before it leaves the room where it started. So if you've got a big gun safe, if that fire's in that room, well, you got a problem. With our system, there's small modular safes. We use what we call decentralized storage. So you store your safes in this closet, that closet, this bedroom, all around your home. Your risk of fire is very, 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 very low. The other side of it is the whole fire rating process is 100% nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's become dogma. It's like cholesterol and statins. It's all bullshit. It's nonsense. And with fire ratings, the whole thing is a myth. That we build the true safe, which I don't know if you've seen one of those. That is a double-walled, cement-filled safe. It's a true safe.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some serious fire protection. We built that. We took it to a testing facility, and this is where it really came together in my head. I watched the test process. They take the safe, they put it into an oven. They got temperature probes in the safe, button it all up. They bring the oven to 1300 degrees really quickly, and then we're just sitting waiting as the interior of the safe comes up. Once it breaks 350 degrees, that's the test number. That's when things start getting damaged. Test is over. Our true safe went 2 hours and 20 minutes in that oven. Now, our safe was sitting in a truck. It's a heavy safe. It's 1,600-pound safe. So sitting in a truck outside the facility, we brought it in. The truck was in the sun. Our safe went into the facility at around 94 degrees. And they're like, Tom, the test is at 72 degrees. I'm like, it's going to take overnight for this safe to cool down. Yeah, it's not going to cool down. I said, guys, just run this. So we went 2 hours, 20 minutes, starting at 94. We probably would have gone 3 hours, 30 minutes or so. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Do I say my safe is a 2 hour, 20-minute rating? No. We just call it a fire safe. And I would estimate it to be in a hot fire 30 minutes. We simply, when you buy the safe, you can get the test data. We just give you the data saying, here, draw your own conclusion. The challenges with gun safes is it's a bake rating. And to get people to understand heat transfer in convective forces versus static sources is an order of magnitude difference. And the way I tell people to think of it, let's say you're making gourmet pizzas, or you're doing the frozen pizza, tombstone pizza. You got your oven preheated to 450 or 500 degrees. Open that oven up, put your hand in the 500-degree oven. Don't move it. Hold it real still. You're going to go 2 minutes, maybe a little longer, till eventually it's getting so hot you got to pull it out because it's going to start burning. Picture a small jet engine mounted to a bench. You get the jet engine running. The exhaust is 500 degrees at 60 miles an hour. Put your hand in that exhaust stream.
Nah.
You're going to lose your hand.
Yeah.
It's going to, in less than a second, it's going to rip you apart.
We call that a heat gun.
Right. So a fire in your home, the air can be in a fully engulfed fire, the air can be moving in excess of 60 miles an hour. The temperatures can approach 2,000 degrees. So the gun safe doesn't have a chance. Now, we tested a 90-minute, it was a Liberty safe. It couldn't have been anybody's. I'm not going to just pick on them all day, but we built a burn house and we temp probes. We did a lot because we had a lot of probes in the firebox to really understand this. Our fire never got above 900 degrees. We couldn't get the airflow to generate the heat that an actual fire can. The safe went, I think, 12 minutes. It went to 350 at 900-degree fire. So
I've known a couple people that have had garage fires and lost everything in their safes.
Well, what happens, and people don't realize this, they're not thinking about this, the only reason I thought about it is real world happened to us. The safe went to 350, then 400 degrees really fast. It's 12 minutes. So we were actually shooting some video of it, and we said, wow, okay, boom, shut it down. Let's put the fire out. And we just did our best to get the fire out. We had some fire extinguishers. And I'm out on the SecureIt ranch. We had flattened this area out to build this whole thing. And it's kind of a mess. I want to take it apart. So let's let this cool down. We're going to disassemble it. So we had a little grill, and we were grilling sausages, waiting for the safe to cool down. About 25 minutes later, I walk over to the burn box, check the temperature on the safe, see how it's cooling. Well, the outer metal of that safe was 900 degrees. The inside of the safe was 720 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Dutch oven.
Well, so what's happening? At 380 to 400 degrees, hardened steel loses its hardening, temporary, however you want to call it. So that's your trigger group, your bolt group. At those temperatures, they're depending on how the gun cools, you're completely changing the property. Right. Above 680, annealing changes. Barrels are annealed steel. What annealing does is maintain strength, but gives it flexibility so it can withstand the shock. And there's a whole whip, and there's all the stuff that goes on in a barrel. Well, if you've got guns in a safe that are in a fire, regardless of what they look like, oh, they're fine, they didn't get hurt. You're never going to shoot those. You shouldn't shoot those guns again. You're going to put a 300 Windman bolt gun up to your cheek that's been in a fire. If that barrel is no longer annealed, if it's now hardened, you've got a pipe bomb that's going to blow half your face up.
So what I'm hearing from you is that the data, I know a little bit about some of this stuff from construction. The data of house fires just shows that actually creating a true fire safe, which is costly, they are concrete and other cementitious products, the odds are you're never going to need it, or you need to get a true fire safe, not 5/8 drywall.
Right. That's the whole drywall thing is nonsense. And really, from what I learned at Liberty was they call it a fire rating, but they really need the weight. They need the weight in the safe so it doesn't tip over because the door is so heavy. Now, our safes we use same gauge steel, but there's no drywall. There's none of that in it. It's metal on metal. Now, one of the challenges we have is, and it's very expensive, is our safe is finished inside and out. So you're making steel construction before you powder coat. You've got to take, and it's got to be clean, no oil, any weld, any spatter. So we've got guys, they got to basically grind the inside of the safe. Yeah, it's basically body work on that steel to make sure it's perfect. So doing a finished interior steel is difficult. And that's why safe companies, if you pull the inside out of a safe, it's metal that's just shot with a black tar, like literally a driveway tar. And then they put drywall in, and then the carpeting goes in. The other problem I have with that is the materials inside the safe, the drywall, the carpet, and the adhesives, they're all banned from use in armories. They're banned. We do a lot of museum systems.
Toxic stuff?
Well, it's caustic. Okay. So the adhesive they use has formaldehyde in it because it's a rubberized adhesive, so it never really gets hard. It stays soft and holds that carpet. Formaldehyde is very corrosive.
That's bad stuff.
Secondly, drywall is full of pyrite. And it's when you mine gypsum, it's got pyrite in it. Pyrite are coated in ferrooxidant bacteria. This is all just naturally occurring. Ferrooxidants eat pyrite over thousands of years. They just slowly consume it. When they consume the pyrite, their waste product is sulfurous and sulfuric acids. And that's going on in drywall. I mean, it's going on in your home. It's just you got so much airflow, you never notice it. But in an enclosed safe, especially when these are double layers of drywall, you're building up this toxic box that we call. And I'll tell anybody, if you go to a safe distributor, find a safe, it's a new safe, the door's been closed for a few days. If you're looking at it, open the door, but open it slowly and put your nose in there and smell. You smell sulfur. That's sulfuric acid. And that's the environment of the gun safe. So they make goldenrod, desiccants, all these products to stop corrosion. You don't want your guns to corrode. Properly cleaned and oiled gun is not going to corrode, even in humid environments. I grew up near Buffalo, New York. My grandfather had guns in a glass case up in Olcott, which is just off the lake. In the summer, it's really humid up there. There's no corrosion problems. But in a gun safe, because of those materials in the safe, you run a really high risk. It's a very corrosive environment. So they make all these products to stop it. With our safes, we do not recommend using. If you know how to clean and oil a gun, most people do. And that's you're not saturating, you're not making these things dripping. You're just doing
get yourself some gunfighter gun oil.
That's right. I use it. Quick plug. It's I am exclusively using. You sent me some of that, and I had sit and I said, I'm gonna try them. And now slowly,
So is that part of the reason that because you don't have to build these vented?
No, for the military, these are vented for two reasons. A, they can store ammunition. And military typically doesn't. SOCOM armories are allowed to store 25 to 50 pounds of ammo per armory. And then Marine Corps Reaction Force armories, which is that's their base security. They're able to store ammunition. You need it to be vented. And that's a requirement. The other reason in the military is sight counts. You can without unlocking the rack, you can see in there and know that everything's there.
Okay.
That was a reason. In our consumer products, we don't. The back of the cabinet where our cradle grid system is, is vented. It's open. And people ask me, why is that open? I say, because you're going to put it against a wall. That allows you to store a lot of ammo without a risk of explosion. And ammo cooks off safely in a fire unless it's contained.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got
a bomb.
Yeah, you've got problems. So we do everything we do is vented for that purpose.
What you just said about ammo cooks off safely in a fire, I don't think a lot of people understand. When a bullet or a complete cartridge gets heated, it will explode like a firecracker, but it's not a bomb until you seal it in a metal coffin.
Right. And now we'll talk about a product which we're going to do a test this spring, and it's going to be our top video is 900,000 views. It's us building we built our armory.
I remember that.
Yeah. So I want to do a multi-million view video. I know it's going to be a great video, and it's going to be showing people ammunition storage. Liberty makes an ammo. It's called the ammo can, or it's a safe with a door designed to store ammo. They lined it with drywall and carpeting, like all their safes, and it's a door that closes. Why are they doing this? Now, the reason they're doing it is they're not building based on true performance. They're not gun people. They're not safety security people. They don't really know the space. They're saying, Americans want to store ammo. Let's make an ammo cabinet. So take a gun cabinet, a small gun cabinet, and just put shelves in it. Say it's an ammo cabinet. The problem with that is it's unvented. And what the drywall does is it's not going to protect you in a fire, but it does temper the heat transfer. So you get ammo, if you got like 10,000 rounds in here, in a normal fire in a metal box, the outer rounds are going to reach, it's above 400 degrees, they're unstable. I think powder actually burns, and most of your gunpowders with a match, it's a little higher than that, but at above 400 degrees, if you tap it, you can detonate that charge. It becomes very, very unstable. So what's happening is the heat transfer is being tempered by the drywall by probably 5-10 minutes of cushion. So your ammo's heating up, and the minute those cartridges start reaching critical mass, they start popping safely. But with that safe, and I'll prove it this spring. I can't prove this. I believe this, that with what they're doing, all this ammo is going to be heating up, and it becomes unstable at 400. It actually cooks off closer to 700. So you're going to get this thing heating up, and now you're going to, as this with the drywall buffering it, tempering that heat transfer, when the first round actually detonates, you're going to have thousands of rounds that are over 400 degrees. I think you get a chain reaction, and I think you've just made a
bomb,
60-inch by 36-inch by 22-inch pipe bomb. And so we're going to set up at the property. I'm going to make berms. We're going to do this up right, load the safe, put it into a fire, and then run some cameras. It'll be remote. I believe this thing blows up, and violently. And it's my hope that, the fix is very simple. It's a pain in the ass. Anybody at the cabinet is go to Harbor Freight, buy a 1-inch hole saw, and get a good one, because you're gonna cut a lot of holes, and go in the back of the cabinet and just make holes in the bottom, holes in the top, series of them. All you gotta do is, as long as you can vent the gas and get rid of the drywall, because that drywall, even with the holes, if you've got one round goes and it triggers 600 rounds at once, that's a big explosion, regardless of what you're doing. So if you're storing ammo, and you can store 10,000 rounds of ammo, it should always be stored in a cabinet that's vented. Because I think there's videos showing ammo cans in heat exploding. Whereas, dropping a box of ammo into a fire just pisses people off.
Sure.
But it's not a thing. So we make an ammo cabinet.
And we're not suggesting that you guys blow ammunition up in fires.
No. Not at all. Especially with price of ammunition these days. But we do make an ammunition gear storage cabinet, and you've got them here, and they're fully vented on all sides, and it's a safe way to do it. But the fact that Liberty's making this and other companies I don't want to just pick on Liberty, and I want to throw this out there. I disagree with Monomoy and what they're doing and how they do things. The people at Liberty that I met are true American workers, and they're salted.
I believe that.
I mean, they're great people.
I would believe
it's my hope that they will sell the company to people who will actually take it back to what it's supposed to be, a true American company, because I don't see it that way now. And I've talked to people, I've talked to my wife, and honey, what if we put together a group and buy a Liberty? And she's just like, the wife's like, I would rather you retire and we go travel.
So it is your and the military's, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? Opinion that this is plenty of security.
The Model 84s are vented, they're open, you can see them. We sell a lot of these into consumers, and this is not a cheap product, this military product. No. It's hard to make, it's hard to ship, but the people who do buy them buy 12 of them, like 30 grand, 20. I mean, that our consumer orders are, people with the extra 2 zeros, and they don't care about money. They just want an armor. They want that cool look. Our consumer products are smaller. They're not vented. The back is vented the way our louver system works, but you don't see it. The other big piece of what we do, and when you're training, especially when you have kids and firearms, you hear the word respect all the time. Teach your kids about respect for a firearm. You have to respect what it is, why, all the components of it. When you're digging through a safe to get to a gun, that is a complete lack of respect. You should never rake a gun across other guns. You should never, if you've got good optics on your guns, you're digging them out, setting them on the ground to get to the one you want, or setting them against the wall to get to the one you want. And that's a complete fail in my world.
Sure.
So everything we make is straight line access. And this comes right out of the military. After that SOCOM contract where we presented our report, we developed this system and kind of wrote the book on military weapon storage. And now it is standard. All military weapon storage is straight line access. You open the rack with one hand, you remove a rifle without disturbing any other firearms, close it. And every system we make, all of our consumer products are straight line access. You get a couple of benefits.
Because he's the leading expert.
But you're getting a couple things. A, you're never going to lose zero. You're never going to damage your guns. What's that website? The Truth About Guns is an old website, been around forever. They have an article that they published, and it's been a while, probably 15 years ago.
Do you believe that's Mr. John Bach?
Okay.
That runs that
so
website.
He published an article talking about wear and tear and damage to firearms. His conclusion was the number one source of damage for your firearm is going in and out of a gun safe. And his whole thing was not gun safes are bad. It's just, guys, be really careful because this is where the damage is occurring. We're saying, no, get a proper system, straight line access, and you're not going to damage your guns because they're going in and out. And the other thing it has is you open my rack with one hand and you close it. It's all ergonomic. You put a gun in, you're never having to manipulate. It's, again, if you're doing dry fire, if you're doing draw, you always set your things up to eliminate obstacles, you want everything to be fluid, smooth motions for everything you do with a firearm. We consider a gun safe as a version of a holster. Every safe we make is fast access. We'll talk about locking in a minute because that's been our biggest epiphany recently, but everything we do is designed so, we encourage people, if you're buying a gun safe, if home defense is part of why you own guns, you want to train with your safe. If again, handguns. So I went to Red Dots recently. My eyes are getting bad. I like them. Every morning, and you'll love this one, I'm on a slack line.
Nice.
Because
did you go on the one in the basement the last time I saw you? No.
I have it's a dual line. It's a training thing. It's a practice. So I just started using it because, and this is pathetic, but I got to put it out there, is as you get older, the number one reason older people get into the hospital is they fall.
Sure.
So I said, you know what? I'm going to be the best balancing. So I started slackline. So I work out every morning, and part of my workout routine is I do my dry fire, because with a red dot, you know this, I didn't. When you pull that gun out at any level of speed, if you don't have the red dot, you can't find it. So every morning I do probably 50 reps on the slackline now, because I'm just adding that element of very slow. So I always, and I go to range now, red dot. I'm on it.
Nice.
But when you're with your safe, like I've got a fast box under my bed. So every night when I go to bed, as you reach down in the dark, I do the combination. I open it, close it back up, go to sleep. I've been doing that. I don't do it every night now. I do it probably every 8 to 10 days. But I can, being barely asleep or in any state, muscle memory, I can open that safe, remove a firearm, and be in a ready position second or two. It's so fast. My Agile cabinets, I tell everybody, you put it in the closet, you've got it in a location in your home that makes sense, every time you walk by that closet, open the door, do the combination, not fast, just do it. Remove a firearm, put it back, close it up. And what you're doing is you're building those muscle memories so that in the event of a home invasion, you are removing a firearm from your safe, getting into a ready position. You're no longer thinking about it. And that was our last piece of the puzzle for us on true home defense and safety was HSFA. It's high stress, fast access locking. I'd never thought about this. It wasn't on my radar, but one of the things unique about SecureIt, we host training events. We do a lot down at Summit Training Center. We bring in writers and shooters and people who are gun people, and we'll do some firearms, just handgun training for the fun part of it. And then we were doing a shoot house, force on force, simunition, got all the gear on, and all but it still hurts to get shot.
Yeah.
And it hurts enough to where at your core level, you do not want to get hit.
No.
Which is really good training. So our scenario was office setup and a home setup where there's a break-in and you go to the safe, do the combination. We had fast boxes in our agile safes, remove a firearm and get into a defensive position to defend your home, defend yourself. This is not about hunting down bad guys. This is about defense. These guys are all competent shooters. And I'm up in the catwalk above, and we're just watching this play out. And we were able to create chaos, which you need to do. Because if all of a sudden somebody kicks in your front door and discharges a firearm at you, you are not going to be in a state that you're in right now. No, no civilian practices stress inoculation. The military does. Law enforcement, maybe.
I wouldn't say no civilian, but it's not common.
That's not common. Yes. The average civilian, I don't do that. I don't have, and so what happens, and we saw this with these guys, we create the situation, there's a break-in, they go to the agile safe, and they're trying to do the combination. And they're laughing. They go, I can't get the goddamn, they couldn't do the buttons. And what happens is, so I do my research on this, when you go into fight or flight, several things happen. All your brain power goes to the very base of your brain. You no longer have cognitive ability. You're going to develop, your whole vision comes down to a very narrow. You're going to lose fine motor skills. Your brain goes right into this very, very early human, limbic brain, a lot of terms for it, of survival mode. You see just what's in front of you and fight, and you got to get whatever you got to do. And you don't have that ability to do the lock. I'm watching, these guys are laughing, and I'm going, holy cow. And it hit me like a rock. I got back to my office that Monday morning. I went back into the warehouse and started banging some stuff around. I got a design program I use. I'm not a professional CAD guy, just kind of wing shit. And I came up with a lock design, took the drawings, sent it to some guys we work with, prototyped it, and we took from the walking in my office, it was incorporated into every one of our safes in 6 months. My normal process for that, a change across the line, would be 18 months. It's, again, when you're in manufacturing of safes, everything we do is hard tooled. And making tooling, hey, you got to do your time because the tool costs 130 grand.
Yeah.
You can't be wrong. And so, but we did this so quickly because I thought it was so important. So HSFA locking is a very simplified keypad of much bigger numbers. The keypads are 1.5 inches to 1.75 inches. It's big. It looks almost like a kid's lock. I mean, it's
grandma's phone.
Right. I mean, we designed it so it's got kind of a badass look to it. But what it does is, it's hard to test because it's really hard to trigger somebody into fight or flight. You can't just do it. We're looking at scenarios of getting a kid, 21, 22, or a woman, a young woman, and putting them into a scenario saying, okay, we're going to hit a little button. It's going to go beep. We want you to open this safe as quickly as you can and remove handgun.
Or I kill your mother.
No. And then the minute the beep goes, you have other people that they aren't aware about are doing things so loud that you probably should have headphones on, screaming and yelling. You're absolutely shocking them. And I don't want to do that to people because you're really negatively affecting these people.
Sure, I've taken part in a lot of training like that.
So I've tried so I did as much research as I could. And when you lose the fine motor skills, 1.5 inches, you've got that much play. So you can still do my safe. And that's,
So you saw an improvement with the opening times.
Right. So, dramatically. Well, it's not just improvement in time, but the ability to open it versus not. Now, we have biometrics in all of our safes. A lot of my competitors will market biometric as fast access. It's convenience, and I get it. It's a very convenient way to open a safe. We include it. The main reason for me to have biometrics, I got friends over, I want to show them a gun. I don't need to hide my combination. I simply fingerprint it. But in a true defensive scenario, you know, probably you've heard that it's never fail technology. It can't fail. So biometrics, if your hands are wet, it won't open. If your hands are dirty, it won't open. In the winter, if your skin's really dry, it's going to take a while to open it. And then biometric locks, I can't prove this, but to me, they seem to wander. I have biometrics, and to me, if I reprogram the lock every 6 months, they work. If you don't, if a year or two goes by, it seems to get sloppier. I don't know if our fingers change. I don't know what drives it. But we have biometrics that's the only reason. You should never use biometrics for home defense, or think of it for home defense, because you don't know the state you're going to be in. If you're washing dishes or cleaning something and your front door gets kicked in, don't use biometrics because you're not going to survive.
Sure.
So we tell everybody with our locking system, you do your combination and then train with it. Every time you walk by, my combination that I created numbers in my head, but allows me to, it's easy to do. And for me, because my locks end up at chest height in the 52s, and I got a whole wall of cabinets in my home. I can just walk up and it's a pattern. And it's so fast. I can doom, hit the handle, and I set up my safe so the second gun in from the left is my defensive rifle. And the ergonomics, it opens. I don't have to open the safe up fully. As it opens, I pull it, I come up, and I'm in a ready position that quickly. If it's a handgun, I'm going to pull it. If it's a handgun, pure storage, I'm going to go with a left-hand door. And I'm going to pull it. I'm right-handed. I want to pull it with my right hand.
So I think what you're saying is be thoughtful when you order this thing. It's not just a file cabinet.
Right. And then how you set up. We have videos with guys, you know, how to set up a safe for home defense. Because it's, again, if you've got a 6-gun safe and if you've got a lot of storage and not a lot of guns, isolate your defensive rifle. Give yourself some space so you can get to it. There's a lot of things you can do. Handgun. I use Fastbox, which is, you know, that's a pull-out drawer under your bed. It holds big rifles. I've got a 9mm and a AR-15 is my preferred. My front door, you know, decentralized storage. So in my home, 1 gun in my bedroom, front hall closet next to the front door. In that closet, I've got 6-gun safe. In my kitchen pantry, I've got a 6-gun safe. And you go through the whole home. There's just a whole methodology to it, but your bedroom is the least secure room in your home. In crime data,
Sure,
if thief breaks into your home, they're going to the master bathroom. They want prescription drugs, number one thing. Then they're doing valuables. Then they're going to hit home, you know, your bathroom, your bedroom,
Master
home
closet.
office den. Then home office den, dining room. Then they're out of the house. The most secure room in your home is probably your kitchen. Thieves aren't looking for food and dishes. So I tell everybody, you know, and we spend so much time in our kitchens during the day, especially modern houses have that great room, that whole setup. Fast access small handgun safe in your kitchen is the best place.
I prefer to keep it on me like a man, again, but I'm just saying.
The number one thing you can do is have the firearm on you. Most people I know get home if they carry and they take the gun off and they put it somewhere.
Well, the other thing, I think you live in a state, I live in a state that has requirements for storage.
Yeah.
Like in our states, and some of you guys that are in New Mexico or Florida or somewhere have no idea about that. There are plenty of states where it is the law that if the firearm is not in your immediate care and custody, and there are minor children in the house, like in my state, it's below 14 years of age, it's got to be locked up. And you could argue all you want about that. We're talking about lawful firearm ownership and storage, but you might even have older kids. You don't know who their friends are. That's like the one that bothers me the most, because I remember, and you probably, you're a kid, you're at your best friend's house, and you'd be all through dad's garage and workroom and doing stuff. I mean, the first time I saw Playboy or whatever was digging through, you know, some neighbor dad's stuff, and there are something that I have horribly attached to my Google alerts is children getting shot by mom and dad's firearms. And people know I look for this. Guys will send me stuff once a week. You know, 4-year-old finds mom's gun under the bedside
Yep.
table, or one just recently, it was under the seat of the car. The kid,
Yep.
Dad said, let's go get ice cream. The 4-year-old's so excited, goes and gets in the car. The family's gathering up their crap to get to the family van. They hear a pop. Kid's out in the car dead. They found Dad's like little pistol under the seat, and he did what a little kid would do. So, I mean, that's the one thing. To me, it's not just about bad guys. It's about people that shouldn't have a firearm in their hand because you don't know who they are.
No, and we can demonstrate with all of our fast access locking. If you, like most people, they have a firearm that's unsecured because I got my big safe. I keep one gun, for fast access. If you got kids, they typically put it up on a high shelf, out of reach. Well, I guarantee with my fast access safe that's ergonomically placed, I'm gonna have a firearm faster. Because again, my safes to open are, if you're at the safe, I'm less than a second to open the safe. Less than a second. And time it takes you to get up to a shelf, and then the real problem I see with people is the people who they go out and get a handgun. I know you see this probably all the time because they're afraid for an event happens that gets them, I probably should do something. It's a one-time event for them. It changes their whole thinking process, and they go out and buy a firearm. And they do a class, and they go to the range a couple times, and they stop, and they go, and all of a sudden, that gun is now up on a shelf. It's been there for 3 years. They've forgotten about it.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's so far back, it's so tucked in and closed, and now that's such a dangerous scenario.
Mm-hmm.
And I encourage, we're launching handguns. We've never done handgun storage. Until the HSFA system came out, I didn't have a reason to make a handgun safe because there's a lot of good handgun safes. Our cradle grid system, our long gun storage system, it holds handguns, it holds tons of gear, is unique, and there's a lot of value in that. People kept asking me, we can make a handgun safe? I said, not right now. I said, this one, these are all great safes. Again, I don't have, but with the HSFA and understanding that technology, we've now incorporated, and it's nothing else magic. We have a quick pop, you do the combo, it presents the gun so it's really fast. I've got a flat one, and then we've got our Fastbox 20, which is it's a bigger box, fast access. It'll hold multiple handguns. It's pretty popular with kids going to college. Prescription drugs is the #1 thing stolen from dorm rooms. So this little box, it's inexpensive. You can give it to your kid, and now he can put it's got Adderall. I mean, Adderall is like cocaine. And it's just a real simple.
You could throw your freaking laptop or cell phone or whatever.
Absolutely.
These things. We've talked a lot about these things. What I think is super interesting, you're not a one-faceted guy, single-faceted guy. You've done a lot of cool stuff.
Life is short.
Life is short. And I like to hang out with, be around, work with, train with people that are not losers. You just set a world record?
Yep.
So you've been into racing, building cars. I know after the last couple of years, you've kind of changed gears and have been doing some like car restoration stuff for fun and some cool stuff. But you built, I'm going to have you talk about it, like a salt flats.
Land speed car.
Talk about this thing. And this is super interesting because it has nothing to do with any of this stuff.
Well, the core beneath that is we're all going through life, and we are all just tied to timeline. Like right now, you've got a pathway. I've got a pathway, and it's linear time. Our paths cross today, and we're sitting here talking.
Yes, sir.
And tomorrow, our paths are going different directions. We're doing different things. It's my personal view of life is about building amazing memories.
I like that.
Life is about experience and about gaining experience. So I have an Elmquist Saber car, street car. It's a show car. It's a beautiful little car. I found this in a field. I bought it for $800 about 12 years ago.
What is it? I don't even know what that is.
So the Elmquist Saber.
Elmquist.
Ed Elmquist. I'll hit that in a second, but it looks like an AC Cobra.
Okay.
It's 2/3 the size.
Which is already a small car.
And it's 12 years earlier. So it's the design in the early 50s. So Ed Elmquist, a lot of people don't know. If you're in the hot rodding and you're in your 70s, you know Ed Elmquist. He wrote the very first book on hot rod, how to actually hop up an engine in 1947.
How do I get more air in?
Right. The whole hot rod culture of the 50s started with Ed's. I mean, hot rodding was a little thing in Southern California. Ed lived in
Or
Pennsylvania.
moonshiners.
Well, that was a lot later. But so hot rodding was a thing like in Orange County. There's this little area of guys screwing around. Ed wrote the book in 1947, made hot rodding a national craze. He started Elmquist Engineering, and he had the first parts catalog for hot rodding cars. And he sold hot rod parts, Don Garlitz, all the early guys at Drag Race. They all bought.
Big Daddy Don?
Yeah. Big Don, yeah. But they all bought their parts from Elmquist Engineering, and it was a big mail order parts company all through the 70s. I think the company was sold, or it kind of just went out of phase in the 80s, early 80s. Ed died in 2014 in his 90s, but in the 50s, the war had ended, Ed's back, and he starts doing this stuff with hot rodding. American soldiers came back from the war. In Europe, they saw sports cars. America didn't make sports cars. Now, the Corvette came out in 53, 54. Early Corvettes were not sports cars. They were closer to tractors. I mean, they just were not performance cars. They were small, but they weren't well engineered. So he came up with the concept with a guy named Harry Himes, who ran Clearfield Plastics. And they designed this little body and marketed it through his hot rod parts catalog as the very first concept of you can build your own sports car. So this is the car that started the kit car industry.
So did it have a chassis underneath it? So it was just...
No, it was a fiberglass body. And the idea was you could fabricate a chassis or cross-sleeve. Any really small car, cross-sleeves were made in America. It's considered the worst car ever made.
I remember that car. Yeah.
They were narrow because the company made washing machines, and the door to the warehouse that the washing machines went out was only so wide, so cross-sleeve cars were narrow because they didn't want to make the door bigger. It's a true story, but so he started selling the bodies for $295, and you could make payments. And then you could also, Curtis, made all the Indy cars. You could buy the plans for a Curtis chassis and just mail order the plans and make that chassis. So what we did, I saw the body. It was on a cross-sleeve frame that was just rotted out. I bought it for $800 because I just thought it looked cool. It was all clapped out. I just thought the front of it with the little mouth and the eyes, the headlights, I go, that just looks cool. So I started monkeying around with it, and I started doing some history, and a guy reached out to me that knew I'd bought the car, and he's a historian of fiberglass cars, and he said, Tom, you've got a piece of history there. Let me explain what this is. And I became very good friends with him. He's helped me out a lot. So I sent the car down to Florida and had a proper restoration done. And the car is a beautiful little car. It's on a Curtis K500 IndyCar chassis. It's got a 1939 Ford V860 because I determined, based on the car I bought, there was no engine. I'm posting photographs and some guy commented, hey, that had a V860 in it. I know those motor mounts. So the V860 is the smallest V8 ever made in America. A little flathead motor. So we sourced one of those. And the car was completed about 5 years ago. I took it to Amelia Island. We got invited to Amelia Island, and we won a class award. I mean, we're the ragtag team from Syracuse. I've got, multi-million-dollar cars, these incredible cars, and there's us. And we won an award with it. It's just a really, because the class was called Fiberglass Dreams. And the judges are talking to me, and I said, look, these cars are incredible. I said, this car is not meant to be incredible. This car was meant for the working guy to make his own sports car. And when we built this, I said, it's 1956. Nothing newer. I said, and if you can use the old tools, use the old tools. The only thing we did different, there is a couple of pieces we used for safety reasons on the fuel management. They're just for safety reasons. I didn't want to run a fire, but all the wiring, everything is sourced as vintage. And it's a beautiful little car. My success with that show in the fiberglass world got a lot of attention. And the guy said, Tom, I've got a body. I've got another Saber body. You want it? I said, sure. He goes, give me $1,000 for it? I said, absolutely. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. I was going to make a little race car out of it or something. And then the guy that restored my car, John Pasucci, who's just unbelievable builder, he and I have become very good friends. He's like, the car was down in Florida by his shop. And I said, John, go pick it up. So he's at the car. He's like, Tom, what the hell are you going to do with this thing?
Yeah.
I go, I don't know. I said, I'm thinking about going back into auto racing, making a little H modified. He goes, Tom, what about Bonneville? And it was fascinating was I hadn't heard that name in my head in 40 years, but it took me right back when I was a kid. Do you remember ABC's Wide World of Sports?
course.
Again, younger listeners won't, but
Mhm.
that was our source. But when you're a kid, because it was so cool, it was a 2-hour show that would have 15-minute segments on really cool sports all over the world. Every year in August, they did a segment on Bonneville. I remember as a kid watching it and just thinking, what do you have to do in your life to be in a position to sit in one of those cars? I was just mesmerized by it. And I didn't grow up in a car family.
And that was such like an exotic place.
Yeah,
too.
it was. And this is back in this is probably like 1971 or so. He hit, and all of a sudden it occurred to me, holy shit, I remember this. I said, John, let's just do it. Let's build it. So it was a 1-year project that quickly turned into
And there's
a
like
2-year
tons of different classes. Right.
So the beauty is our car is tiny. It's a tiny car. So we're
how
looking at
wide
the
is
rule book.
it?
Wide. It's
I mean, you could touch both.
Oh yeah, you can jump over it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tiny. It's 88 inch wheelbase, 87 inch wheelbase, which is the car will fit in this room.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tiny car. So we're looking at the rule book, Class J. Class J is 750cc or smaller engine. So that's a small motorcycle engine. Now, the record was 110 miles an hour. And what people
this
used
has to be, this is a 4-wheel car. It's not a motorcycle.
No, it has to. It's the rules. It's a sports car. Now, I'm running Class J modified blown roadster, or modified blown Grand Touring.
So there's like all these subs. So there's naturally aspirated.
Class J is the engine size. Then you've got the sports car. There's not many because the engines are so small. There's not many of these cars. So my class, and then you've got Streamliner, which is the real long missiles. And the Streamliner record is 250 miles an hour.
With a 750cc engine.
Right.
Wow. But it's just a pencil shooting through the air.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we're building this little Saber, and it turned into a 2-year project. And the engineering, because it has to be rear-wheel drive, and you've got the motor sitting up front. The Streamliner's front-wheel drive, because a motorcycle engine is pretty simple to go from the gearbox chain-driven to a axle shaft and drive the car. It's pretty easy to do. We had to build a drive shaft system to get to the back. So it's a 3-piece drive shaft, and then per the rules, I am completely isolated. It's a tiny car, so I'm completely isolated from everything about the mechanics of this car. The drive shaft runs through a steel tunnel next to my hip. Again, and there's another bulkhead there, but the engineering, my wife watches this, she's gonna be pissed, but I spent probably $35,000 to $40,000 to engineer that drive shaft. It was
just to make it all work.
Yeah, it took a lot of hours of mapping and trying. The motor we went with a Suzuki GSX 750 motorcycle engine, because the Crossley engine, monster build Crossley, was 150 horsepower, and it was a time bomb. It was a very short-lived motor. The GSX 750 is a bulletproof motor. So we took that motor, Carpenter Racing out of New Jersey, who builds the land speed motorcycle engines, built me 2 engines.
Is that an inline 4?
Inline 4.
Okay.
So, and it's got headwork. This is a built motor for racing. So
what it is now.
Right. And then it's got a big Garrett turbo system. We're using a Heltec EFI controlling system. So, and there's a lot involved with this. So I'm in the car, I've got a digital dash, I've got paddle shifters, and all we're doing is a throttle interrupt. But there's so much because of the nature and the RPMs. When you shift, it interrupts the throttle, but then it rolls back into the power over so many milliseconds, because you don't want to smash the gears. The other piece is we're using
what's the transmission?
It's the GSX 750 engine transmission is all one casting.
Okay.
So what we did, we took the gears apart and we cryo treated the gears to make them as hard as we could. And we did a lot of research. The transmissions aren't going to fail. I was really worried about the mass of the car and the transmission failing. The roll cage on that car is beyond.
Did you change the gearing?
No, not in the transmission. We have a quick change, Hewland quick change rear end, so I can swap rear gears really easily. And we got out to Bonneville, and even given 2 years, we never dynoed the car, and we had a lot of unknowns.
Why?
We didn't have time.
Oh.
There's the amount of work to build this car. You could buy a really nice house for as much money as it cost to build this car.
I believe it. All of that fabrication.
Because once I committed to it, I was I was committed to this. I said, we got to see this through. So we got out. My first speed run was 58 miles an hour. Not enough for me to qualify.
You drove this thing around the neighborhood, I'm assuming.
No, my first time in it was
on the
salt. I test fitted myself because I.
But you didn't know if it was going to blow up 10 feet down.
We did not.
So you went all the way out there and had not even like drove it around a parking lot.
Well, it was. I mean, we had revved the engine. We knew we had solid things, and John is such a good builder. So we're getting the car 58 miles an hour because we had all these engine management fuel. We just didn't have it right, and we had a Heltech engineer who we had talked to for the initial programming. He was at Bonneville working for a team, and their car broke the crankshaft on the first day. So he was free. So he said, we'll pay you to work for us. I mean, he didn't charge as much. He was this great kid. I just loved this kid. It's Sean. It's called Tuned by Sean is his company. He does. So he sat with us every run, and he'd take us, and we're slowly dialing this up. The next run, I went 99 miles an hour. Then I went 105 miles an hour. At over 100, I qualified for my Class A my first license. Because you have to license up. You can't just go there and run 200. You got to incremental up to get the experience. And then we kept tweaking. And it's getting to day 3 or day 4, and we hit 117 miles an hour, which is enough for a record. And then we got disqualified because my paperwork, I had left a little thing blank that I needed to fill out. And they said, I'm sorry, the paperwork's wrong. We can't. He says, and the guy asked, he goes, Tom, did they go over paperwork with you? I said, no. He goes, nobody talked to you about this. No. And it was computer codes is what it says. Computer codes. There's 2 lines. And I thought computer codes was something they would do because I don't know what that is. The rule book has all the directions, never mentions computer codes. I didn't know what these things were. And they were codes that you had to look up in this book to put in for the engine class and the car class. It was stupid. But he said, these are hard rules. And he felt really bad. And I was like, dude, look, we got a good car. Don't worry about it. So we went back out. And he was like, they thought we were going to be ballistic because when guys are disqualified, they're spending, $50 grand to be out there. Then we ran 128.
And now you have the right paperwork squared away?
Yeah, paperwork squared away. And I ran 128. And we ended up the second. You have to run, set a record. Then you have to come the following morning and run again. It's the average of the two. The car didn't run well the second. We ended up with a record of 118 miles an hour, I think was the record. And I'm like, John, we got a record. I said, the car's not running well. I mean, we're making power, but I'm not. Every time I get close to the red line, it's going into that protection mode. All these things happen. I'm saying, John, look, as it gets to red line, don't interrupt it so much. Just retard the spark, do something, limit the boost to slow me down, and I'll shift. I said, we got to get off of this where the engine just goes into this hiccup mode, and I just completely decelerate. I said, John, change the rear gears, drop them. I want to go a lot taller. I said, God, John, he's like, well, Tom, no, go tall gears in the back. We've got the record. I want to see what she does. So we drop the rear gearing, which ups the top speed, but it makes it, your acceleration is a lot slower. So now when you're in the car, I'm sitting in the car, and I've got a truck behind me with a wooden bar on a wheel, so I'm pushed because I can't launch from a standing start. It's geared too tall. So they push me off, and now with the low gears, and what happened is the tall rear gear meant first gear was a much slower accelerating, but it allowed the turbo boost to shoot right up. So we changed this
torque.
Well, we started off with 3 pounds of boost and then a digital controller for me to up the boost while driving. The digital servos just never worked. We actually put a 15-pound spring in the turbo, so I make 15 pounds of boost. And now all of a sudden, I'm going through the gears, and the car is just, I'm like, and I got to a point where all of a sudden the car, I'm going like, oh shit, this thing's going fast. I'm going like, if I move the wheel, I'm going to spin. If I do, so the salt, I'm just, again, it's been running for 4 days. So there's tracks, there's things in the salt, and the car's just wandering.
Oh,
and it's going to the left. I'm going, come on, baby, come on, baby. I'm just thinking, go right. I'm just thinking right. I don't want to turn, and I gotta get it. And I'm keeping it on the track. I'm like, my head's pinned to the roll cage. I can't, the vibrations, I can't see the dash. So I don't know how fast I'm going, but I know I'm going fast. And I get to the end of the run, I pull the chute. I hit the rev limiter again. I've got 3 miles. At 1.5 miles, I hit the rev limiter in 5th gear. I'm like, and the car's doing and slowing down. And I have to come off the gas, wait 3 seconds for it to reset, and then I'm back on. Well, that mile's blown. At the end of that mile, with all the goof ups, I recorded 161 miles an hour.
Badass.
Top speed was 172. So John's in the truck. Now we created a documentary that is in final editing right now. I'm going to release a documentary in about a month. It ends up being almost an hour documentary on the whole thing. It's pretty cool. But John's in the truck with my son Charlie and another crew guy, and
You're
push me
sobbing, mascara's running.
they're driving, so they push me off. Then they go to an access road and they run down the track because I come off and they got to come pick me up and tow me back. And they're listening on the radio, local radio station, and the 302, the Class J Saber, Tom Kubiniec driver. We got a speed. Let's see. 161, and John's hope was 125. I said, John, this car's going way faster than that. And they're in the truck, and they're just like, holy shit! They're screaming and yelling. I didn't know. He said, dude, 161. And then I said, John, we went faster than that. And I said, we went a lot faster. So we got back and we looked at the telemetry, and I was 172. So now I'm on the books for 161. I'm like, John.
Well, why didn't the 172 get recorded?
Because it's your average over the mile.
Oh, okay.
I hit 172, hit the rev limiter, and the car slowed down. So my average was 161 across the mile. Well, the problem is I had 3 miles to go. So if I had rear geared the car lower, and I had so much pull, I believe the car will do 230. That's my gut tells me after being in the car.
You're going to try it again?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
So the record was
111.
Oh, so you crushed it.
We blew it out of the water. And then, but the second, so I got to back it up. We're back in impound. So when you set a record, your car goes into impound. And we have 4 hours to do any corrections, and then they have the car. The next morning, I take the car back out, and first guy, the record cars run first thing in the morning.
They want to make sure that you're not swapping the engine overnight. Yeah.
So the first runs are the record runs, and I got to back it up. Well, on the backup run, we're all ready to go. I'm thinking, man, I'm excited because I'm going like, that was so fast. It was so cool. And I get on it. Oh no! All of a sudden, the car, the motor's just not running well. And we ran 100 and I don't know, was 16, but it averaged out to 141. That is the record that I have on the books is 141.
Okay.
And what happened? We got back to the pits like, John, and we're looking at all the data, and Sean had to fly home, so he's home. We're uploading data to him with a Starlink, and we're looking. He goes, pull the spark plugs, and the spark plugs were completely melted down,
just cooked. So
they make a racing spark plug for that engine. They're $120 a piece. We're using stock spark plugs for $8. And the difference, you look at these things, it's like an aviation. If you've seen an airplane spark plug, it's just a different. And so the whole thing was wrapped up, and it was one of the best weeks of my life. It was.
I remember reading when you were posting on social media.
It was just, and my son Charlie and I, he's a car guy too, but he doesn't know how to relate to me, and we just, I don't know. There's always been kind of this thing we don't click. That week we fucking clicked.
Yeah.
It was just such a good week. Now my wife was freaked out. And that weighed on me heavily. She was, why are you doing this? Why? You don't need to do this. This is stupid. She will support me and go to the races. She ran pit crew when I was road racing. And I'm going to go back into vintage racing. I'm like, honey, road racing is so wildly more dangerous than what I'm doing. I'm on a straight line in a roll cage that's beyond a NASCAR, NHRA, top fuel dragster cage. My cage is beefier than those cages. One of the things in land speed cars you want is weight. For stability and for traction's a problem. You're on salt.
Car starts picking up.
We've got air. We're allowed to run an air dam, and I've got fins out the back. I don't think we're getting a lot of lift, but traction can be a bear. But our car's 1,400 pounds. We talked to Don Aries, who's Aries Pistons. He was one of the guys launching people. Just that guy's got so much history in racing, and we're talking to him. He's like, What do you guys weigh? I go, we're 1,400. He starts laughing. He goes, Jesus Christ. Most of the land speed cars, they're adding thousands of pounds of weight to the cars.
Wow.
Because they need the stability. And again, if you're running a big engine, you're running 1,000, 2,000 horsepower, you got to get traction on salt with tires that are round because you want speed. So it's a whole different thing. So you got to get some weight into that car. And we're like, we do, but I don't know how much. That's what enables to accelerate so fast. So we're going to go back. We took the car. We'd completely disassembled it because it's full of salt. And now we've got, and the roll cage was not painted. So we got it back. It's all painted now. So we put it back together, and we did an initial scan, 3D scan, sent it to a guy. He's in New Zealand. We're now going to assemble the car and do an additional really high resolution scan of the car. Instead of going into a wind tunnel digitally, there's a guy in New Zealand. He's got all the software. He takes the scan, puts it into a computer model wind tunnel. And now what we're able to do is accelerate the car 160, 70, go through up to 240 miles an hour. And as you go through these speeds, your pressure bubble in the front changes. All the pressure points of the car change. So you could find a car that between 190 and 195, it's wildly unstable. If you can get through that, you stabilize out. So we want to know what the car's going to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're also, what we can introduce, which you can't do in a real wind tunnel, is, okay, get me at 180, 190. Now introduce a 5 mile an hour, 10 mile an hour side wind, a gust of wind. What happens? And that's what we're able to test, which the level of safety there is through the roof. Engine-wise, we're going to dyno out and get that dialed in, because we finally made power, but the gearing was wrong. I hit the rev limiter. Now, once I break 175, I move from the 3 mile track to the 5 mile track. Now I can drop the gear a lot lower. I think the car will do 230. The Streamliner is 245. And I've got a sedan. Now, normally Streamliners are 100 miles an hour faster than sedans. We are so close.
Wow.
So why do you do it? So why do I want to go back? So you'll appreciate this. When you break 200, you get a red baseball hat. That's all you get.
I can order you one on Amazon. Where's my phone?
Not these, but there are fewer red hats that have been given to people than there are people who've climbed Mount Everest. There's only a handful. There's just such a small group of people that have done 200 miles an hour in assault. And it's a stupid, arbitrary thing, but my wife's like, why? I'm like, honey, I can watch The World's Fastest Indian. I can read. I can do all these things. The only way that I know what it feels like is to sit behind that wheel. She goes, but you're going to kill yourself. I said, honey, I'm not. And there's a friction there. And she goes, I know I can't stop you. I know I can't. And she goes, but it's weighing on me, because I don't want her to stress. I said, honey, come with me. If you're there and you're watching this, you're going to understand it. She just said, I don't want to go. And she, when a woman draws a line in the sand, it's a line in the sand.
And then you step over it and go racing, huh?
So we're going to go back and we're going to break 200.
Is it annually?
Yeah. It's every first week of August.
Okay.
And being out on the salt is when you're out there in the morning, we're driving out. You're driving across the salt flat with this thing of cars. It looks like Mad Max. And there's probably 150 to 200 people there with early hot rods. These are clapped out, rusted out 1920s hot rods made in the 50s. They've never been updated. This whole culture of people out in the salt.
It's cool.
It's the coolest thing. And the cars you see running, some of these cars have been running out there for 50 years.
That's neat.
And it's really something. Now the one year, so I go out there, I'm saying, honey, in the history of Bonneville, I think there's been 12 people have died. Most of them died before 1950 when the first safety rules came out. Yeah, because Bonneville's the oldest racing track, perhaps in the world, continuously run. They started running at Bonneville like in the early 20s. It's been going for so long. So I go, and since 1980, there's been one death. Or 70. We're out there on day 2, a guy was killed.
Oh no! What happened?
It was Speed Demon. Speed Demon has the top end fastest speed of the week. They've been hitting these numbers
hundreds of miles an hour.
They were going after 500 miles an hour, which an internal combustion engine, they hold the record. Internal combustion engines, 460 miles an hour is the fastest. This is a big, long,
this is crazy stuff. Yeah.
So what happened is they've been running the same car for many, many years. This is my opinion, and I don't want to sound like wrong or anything, but they decided that the guy who owned the team, he passed away, and other people took over the team. They want to keep going. They decided to put that car into a museum because of its history and build a new car. And they shot a lot of videos. They're posting on their social media about building the new car. They built the new car in 8 weeks.
Wow.
My car took 2 years of people working 40 hours a week on it. It took 2 years. This was built in 8 weeks with a big team of people. And John, my builder's looking, we're watching videos and like, Tom, those welds are crap. I mean, they're not very strong. They don't look good, and they built it fast, and the car was going. He wanted 500. This was a test run, a shakedown run. They're running like 350. He was at 300. I got a video of it. It looks like the center of the car broke, and what happened is, as it broke, the rear wheels, the whole rear differential separated. So the back of the car drove over its own wheels, and the back launches, and the whole thing goes up in the air about 40, 50 feet, and it slams on the ground. And I think
at those speeds, that's not
And I think it was the impact, 50 feet in the air, and you hit the ground.
Yeah, those are airplane speeds.
Yeah, the G loads are, you're not, I mean, he's in a full cage. They had, the place is so big, we were unaware of anything happening. Well, because we're out doing our runs, and we're on the small track, medium track, long track. Pits are right here. So we're over here, we're driving back. We see cars out there, like a group of cars, and we're thinking somebody must have lost something, because they can't, if you lose a bolt on your car, they go find it, because at those speeds, anything is ballistic, or can just get picked up by a tire. So, and they were hitting, there was a crash. A speed demon crashed? Holy shit. And then we see the helicopter coming, like, oh shit. And then I saw a video, a lady there shot a video on her phone. I saw it, I'm going, oh shit. And she was like, the lady was really upset. And I'm like, wow, there's no way this guy's alive. And it was a bad, he was 57 years old, younger than me. And, but my wife hears this, and it didn't freak her out.
He knew what he was getting into.
He did, and he's piloted this thing a lot, but my wife saw that. She's back in New York, but she also was doing research on Bonneville, and she's realizing that there just isn't a lot of people getting hurt in Bonneville. And our car, at the speeds we're running, I mean, this sounds really fast. If something goes wrong, I pull the chute, and that car, it slows down. And there's nothing to run into. Cars spin all the time. You get unstable, and they spin. They pull the chute, straightens them out. Going airborne is, again, I'm running air dams. There's no air getting under that car. And my car, the center of gravity is so low on this car, because we're running, it's a pretty good tall tire, and the car's small. So the engine, everything is below, is at the axle line of the car. So it's if it spins, that'd be scary as hell, but I pull the chute and it'd be good to go. So that's my next, once that's done, the car is going to end up in a museum probably.
I like that. That's a good thing. So did you ever dyno it?
We're 425 horsepower.
Out of a little...
Out of 7. We're not tuned for that. We're like, I can run 25 pounds of boost. Now, we weren't sure of the limits of this engine. We have 2 engines, but swapping them at the track would have been a bitch. We had the other engine. Just getting to this motor with all the tube, all the stuff going on, it's a small package. There's a guy who runs the Streamliner with the same motor. He's been running it since almost 20 years. He said, guys, 25 pounds of boost. You can run it. He goes, shift to 14.5. He goes, I've been running my car for 20 years. I've broken 1 motor. He goes, the motors, you're not going to break the motor. He goes, these things are bulletproof. So we went the 15 pounds. So we know that coming in the next year, we've got the ability to dyno up to 25 pounds of boost.
Keep going.
At 15 pounds of boost, I'm going to be well over 200. 25 pounds of boost. I don't know, if the Streamliner ran 156 or 256, if we beat the Streamliner, that would send shockwaves to the land speed world. But my record will sit on the books, because a lot of guys like to go speed race. They think it's cool. If you're going to do that, it's really easy to build a V8 and go really fast. To take a 750 motor and go fast that takes an investment in not racing, but in all this engineering. And who's going to spend the amount of money to run the slowest class?
A lunatic from a safe company. One more part about you. I'm sure there's a bunch of other stuff that I think is cool. Is you used to be a rocker. Yeah. My picture on my phone is the one of you with long hair from like 1980 or something.
That was that picture. I know the picture. It was 1985. I think 1980. Yeah, I was a metalhead. I graduated high school.
What did metalhead mean in those days?
Oh, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden, all that's the music I was into. I was I played played and we did some originals, but I did a lot of Judas Priest Iron Maiden band when I was just out of high school. And I played in the Deep Purple cover band this is when I was living near Buffalo. And I was playing 7 hours a day in 1983, Guitar Player Magazine. I sent a demo to a guy of my playing, and I got an article in Guitar Player Magazine as the best unknown guitar player in America. Like, God, this guy, he's unknown. But, you know, there's a really nice little art write-up on me. It was called Spotlight. And it was so all of a sudden my
You got that framed somewhere?
I have the magazine.
Okay.
I should. I've not framed the actual article.
You should.
It is framed. I don't have it up. I should say it was framed for me and sent. I've got the actual magazine, Mark Knopfler issue.
That's cool. That's a nice guy to be listed
when
with.
I moved to LA, I played with a ton of cool people and then developed tendonitis and my career was over. In hindsight, though, it was a brutal. All I did was play guitar and I was really good at it and I couldn't play. And I felt like I'm ready to audition for Ozzy. I'm ready for like, this is it, man. I'm going to get my dream.
And then it got robbed.
It was just taken away. And I just got married and Julian got married. And I know that I was probably an asshole. I was so mad. I spent a year of anger, blaming the world. But then I had to do something too. So I took a job telemarketing because they'd hire anybody. And I was moved to a non-sales position because I sucked. I was so bad at it. But I worked hard. So the guy moved me to a non-sales position. Ends up the company was scamming people. I didn't realize it. So I quit and then I took a job, straight commission telemarketing, because I knew guys that were working this place saying, Tom, you can make damn good money here if you're good at this. I said, I suck at it. He goes, well, I can get good. So I had nothing else going on. So I took this straight commission job. So if I don't sell, I make no money. Julie's working as a teller in a bank. We got this shitty little apartment in this shitty little neighborhood, but we got to make rent. I don't got a support team. I don't got like parents sending me money and shit. And so instead of playing guitar 6-8 hours a day, I immersed myself in. I listened to cassette tapes, Zig Ziglar,
sure,
all that stuff. I read every book I could on sales, and most of the guys in this company made 60 to 75 calls a day. I made 200 to 250 calls a day. I said, look, I don't know how to sell good. I can make more calls and just find people who like me. And that's what I did. But I got very good at telemarketing. 2 years later, I quit and started my first business in an apartment. 4 years later, I had 18 sales reps, sold that business, started Green Line. I built on that. As I say, I just kept turning over rocks and got into weapon storage. And, here I am now.
Now here you are in my office about to strum a guitar.
But looking back at it, I hated being a musician. I loved playing guitar, and I thought it was cool to be a badass on it. Because back then, when you were the guy out there just on stage, guitar was the hero. In the days of Van Halen and all these great guitar players, you see bands, you had a singer and you had the guitar player, the lead guitar player. The rest of the band was just the band. And it was really badass. And I thought the badass side of it was cool.
And we're back.
It's the same.
So somehow you magically had a guitar appear in your hand.
So here's what's going on.
So this is a different guitar completely, which is funny. I just heard you strumming it.
Listen.
We need to adjust it.
No, here's what's happening. It doesn't do this in the summertime, does it?
I don't know. That's a new guitar. It's been sitting.
Right. So here's what's happening. It's dried out because of winter.
Bend it over your leg.
No,
let me get some Allen wrenches. Fix it.
We could try.
Now we're going to do it right now. Which size we think we got there?
7 and 8 millimeter.
Ooh, here's 8.
That's not. I'm wrong. Let's go with.
How about that?
Yeah, let's go with
That's
something
more
smaller.
like that.
I'm not warmed up.
No, he's not warmed up, but we're not here for a concert. I just know he's guitar player ain't coming to the podcast studio and not strumming a little guitar. So he didn't know what he was getting into. We had to adjust the neck. We got tools out. We had to change the tuning for his special geek tuning. By the way, it was a 5/32 to adjust that truss rod. So you've got a background in guitar playing, street racing, sales.
I get my fingers going. So here's what I can try and do.
All right, let's see it.
My hands gotta get them warmed up. It's a problem with arthritis. I can't bend my fingers.
You're not here to impress. I just want to make you play because.
So this is right brain, left brain. If I look at my hands, I can't play it.
All right, I'm not going to look at you.
I'm playing a bass line, and I'm playing they're different. This is hard to get my. You know what song that is?
How often do you play anymore? No, I don't.
I saw her standing there, but
Oh, yeah.
I can't get the. I try to play every day, but I'm only playing for 5 minutes because of my hand.
It starts to.
Yeah, in the summer it's easier, but I'm working through this, and I'm getting closer to solving. I mean, there's no cure for arthritis, except I think there are.
Dying.
I think we don't know. You diet.
I said dying.
Oh, diet. No, diet. But I'm going to look at stem cell.
Yeah, I think I told you about our friends from Chipsa. What is something that you would lead people with as you're strumming on your way out? What would you lead people with that you find valuable that people should know about?
Yeah, I just can't. If I look at my hands, I'm playing it. I think, and there's a problem.
She
You have
was
to turn.
just 17.
Yeah. What was that?
Let it be.
Yeah, just we gotta get this thing some moisture into it. It's
Dump my coffee on it. I just figured I'd bust one out.
You got another capo?
You need 2 capos.
I can do
I
2
don't.
capos gives me some cool shit.
I don't have 2 capos.
So I play with multiple capos and I create a minor 9 chord on the guitar, and you can do the coolest Pink Floyd shit. Like, I mean, just I can play stuff that if you're not watching me, you're like, a guitar can't play that because you've got. It's just there's so much. So Dad Got Tuning is Celtic.
The sound of your people.
To my skin. That's all the reels. I don't remember half this shit.
Once you put a guitar into a guitar player's hand, then you gotta take it away from him.
That's right.
Thank you for screwing around a little bit
Yeah,
for
next
us.
time I'll bring so I have 2 acoustics, a nylon and a steel that were both, I had them custom made. So the steel string is wide, the nylon classical is narrow. They're both the same spacing, but the short neck and then the bodies are molded so that they're tapered at the top. Because back then, before I had my shoulder surgery, I really struggled to have my arm out like this. So I actually made a guitar, and this Luther I was working with out in Phoenix. I'm just like, yeah, he's like, Tom, I can just, it's a really nice guitar.
That's cool.
And my wife recently found out what I paid for him.
Uh-oh. So far in this podcast, I have found, do not let his wife know about anything that has to do with money, racing, guitars.
I'll tell you what, we started off life, she grew up she didn't know how poor she was when she grew up. She grew up in a house that one room they didn't go into because the floor had caved in. They just kept the door closed.
Mm-hmm.
They had 7 kids, parents in a 3-bedroom house, tiny house. They had a stove that had 1 working burner. I mean, she grew up. Her parents did not raise their kids as poor. They just didn't have money. But poor is a state of mind. It's not a financial condition. Her family, 2 valedictorians, and they're all engineers. They're all very successful.
Very cool.
And so we grew up, and we started dating, and I was a guitar player. I didn't have any money, but I was happy without it. So we moved to she moved to California, and we met in high school. I was out there playing. She flew back, got married. She came out, and we started in a little apartment. And when you have no money, your options are so limited. It's really easy. We would go hiking, backpacking, because it didn't cost anything. We invest a little money in some camping gear, but we do local hikes every Saturday morning in the LA mountains. We'd do a hike, and then once a month we'd go out for breakfast to like a diner. That was our big thing, because we just were barely getting by. But as you start, we started doing well, making more money. But I can't say I'm happy or making more money. I can't. I do more. I mean, you do a lot of cool shit when you can afford to do it. But SecureIt almost went belly up in 2012 when sequestration hit, the forced government cutbacks. I had a vibrant company. I had a plane. I'm a pilot. I was flying all over the East Coast. And 2 years later, I had 3 people, and I sold everything I owned. And we were shopping for cheap farmhouses because I was going to sell my lake house. It was the last asset I had. We were out of money, and that's when we went into retail. That's why we went into retail products, and we slowly clawed back, and now built it up. And retail is 87% of my business. It's going gangbusters. What's funny though is, and this is the thing that, what do you want to leave you with, is you got to let people struggle. We live in a world, parents, governments, that don't want people to struggle. It's like, oh no, don't, here, like, picture me, if there had been a program in place, when I was a musician and lost that, if they'd come in and say, oh, Tom, here's some money to get you by while you heal up, I wouldn't have gotten in sales. When my company tanked, if a government program said, oh, sequestration is hurting small business, Tom, here's a couple $100,000 to keep your business going, I'd still be a defense contractor, and the military business is so small now, I'd be a 4-person company. I was forced into retail, and I didn't see it. Defense is an $8 to $17 million a year business. There's not a lot there. And but it's at times of struggle, when your back is against the wall, it forces you to make decisions. It forces you to see things that you don't normally see
or don't want to.
Yeah. Why do people see these things? All of a sudden it occurs to them, holy shit, I never thought of this. You got to allow people to fail. You have to allow people to struggle. I always say, don't deny somebody their struggle. It's hard to watch somebody really get close to the edge when they're struggling, but you got to let them do it. Mm-hmm. Like with kids doing stuff, don't jump in as a parent and help. Don't do something for your kids that they should be able to do themselves. And it's really hard, but it's critical. And every I always tell everybody, I don't know of anybody who's made as big a mistakes as I've made in life. I've made multi-million-dollar mistakes. It cost me that. I mean, in revenue and in profit, and every one of those mistakes is, the bigger the mistake, the bigger the learning curve. So it's, our motto at SecureIt is, it's not achieve, it's not this. Our motto is fail fast. You just move into things. We want to move quickly. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Just when you make a mistake, acknowledge it. Tell me what you learned. Go, move. What did we learn? Tom, this didn't work. What did you learn? We learned that. Okay, good. Move on. It's the other piece of that is, I tell everybody, is don't stop. If you're driving on a road, you're going to a training center, and you've got marginally good directions, and you're driving, said it's 22 miles up the road, and you're driving, all of a sudden there's a fork in the road. Which one do you take? You got 3 options. You can go left, you can go right, or you can stop and evaluate the situation and try to make the best choice. The guy who stops is always in last place, because one guy picks the right course, he's there in 20 minutes. The other guy picks the wrong, realizes he's wrong, course corrects, he's there in 23 minutes. The guy that stops is there in an hour and a half. Mm-hmm. So it's always tell, just keep moving, and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid of screwing shit up, because as long as you have the ability, ego-wise, to sit there, and I stand before the company, I said, guys, look, this was a mistake, and this is on me. And this is why I made the decision. I want you to understand why we made it. It didn't work. So we ended it, and now we're doing this. And I've made some big marketing mistakes with the company. The biggest mistake I've made with the company is getting to a point in size where I thought, I got to hire a marketing director. I have to hire a head of marketing because I'm a CEO of this company. I got to do CEO shit. Well, for 3 years, I've had different marketing people, and we're growing, but we're not like we used to. And last year I went to say, you know what? I know my brand, I know my product, and my background is sales and marketing. Fired all the marketing people, and we are a one-man show in marketing. It's me. And I have outside vendors, people I use for work. And I slotted, my number 2 in the company. I said, look, you're running you run the company. I run marketing. On big decisions, running by me, I make the big decisions. But that's what I know. And now we're at a point where, it's just early on in this year, but we are tracking 170% above last year.
That's awesome.
That's massive. That's in our advertising budget is going to end up being, well, right now it's 8% of what I spent last year. 8%. We spent $870,000 in advertising last year. Right now, I'm barely spending anything, but we're using data, and there's so much good data. We're tracking everything. So we're looking at our return on ad spend, our cost per thousand, and I've canceled so much like outside company marketing and print and all this advertising, and we're just doing very focused. I use Vibe, I use Meta, but I track everything. I love to geek out on numbers and math. And so I've got spreadsheets I've created. I use some AI tools, and we fund into what works. The problem with digital ad is you get an ad you're running, all of a sudden you're getting a ROAS as return on ad spend. So if you spend $100 and you make $20,000 in sales, that's a 20x ROAS. Holy shit, I'll spend $1 million, make 20 million, I'm rich. Well, the problem is you spend $100 a week, $100 a day or $100 a week on ad, and you're getting this huge ROAS. If you triple that spend, it breaks the model because Meta runs your ads, and they've got AI tools to try to serve the ad to people. They want you to be successful, to spend more money.
We're talking about ROS, but let's not go deep into that because it takes away from your message. So how do people find you?
Easiest way, SecureIt. Google SecureIt. And we're all over the web. We're all over. My name's hard to spell, but
no, it's not.
Kubiniec. I'm all over the internet as well. We've got a pretty big digital footprint, but SecureItGunStorage.com is the biz. You can track. I'm going to be releasing the documentary on Bonneville, and it's. I saw the rough draft of it, and it was. I watched it, and I'm going, oh, this is dragging. It's just. So I showed it to some people. I said, just watch it. Let me know what you think. And I said, what do you think? They said, that's really good. I said, you don't think it drags? He goes, Tom, you were there, and you've been doing this for so long. You've been involved in this. To you, it's just there. So what about me asking these questions? Like, Tom, no, when they go into that detail, like my husband went geek when you went into detail in the car. He goes, and then these things that are happening, he goes, it tells the story. She's like, you got to have the employees watch this because it's a side of you that nobody knows. I didn't think about it. She goes, Tom, you're human. You're like this guy who's struggling. And we don't see that in the company. You're the CEO. He goes, people are going to learn a lot about you at the company. I was like, really? She goes, yeah. So I said, all right, August, don't do crazy cuts with it. Let's get the color correcting right. August, change some music stuff in it, and we're going to release it. And then we may shoot another follow-up to Breaking 200 next year. I got to see.
Cool. Where will people find it?
It'll be on my YouTube channel.
Okay.
I'll probably be posted on the SecureIt channel. I'm putting together a bio where I can link out to all of my podcasts, and people want to learn more about some of the stuff. But so
I'll throw some links up in the description. So if you guys enjoyed this podcast, we're a couple hours in, so I'm gonna
long one.
Check out SecureIt. I stand by them. We've got the stuff securing some of our products and stuff. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, be well. Don't be dickheads. Do check out Supervel Ammunition. Do check out Ignis Lux Coffee. I'm wearing their shirt today. He's been sipping on it.
I'm a coffee aficionado. I don't drink a lot of coffee, but I spend a lot of money on coffee, and I make myself 2 magic cups of coffee every day. This stuff's good.
It is.
It's. I'm not easy to impress with coffee. This is very nice.
I'm pretty good at impressing people. See you guys soon. Visit our website, carrytrainer.com, for information about classes held throughout the U.S., Carry Trainer apparel, and upcoming projects. You can also email us at training@carrytrainer.com for information about setting up your own private course or speaking engagement. Training@carrytrainer.com or carrytrainer.com.